Welcome back to Unfiltered, Unspoken podcast, where we told you we're going to continue to share in life experiences. We have another amazing guest, Miss Lori Carter, and as you know, we will have her come up and introduce herself, and then we're going to kick it off. Hey, Miss Lori, how are you?
Hey, how are you? Thank you so much for having me. I'm Lori Carter, and I am an advocate against domestic violence. And I am so honored to be here today with you guys. I'm so excited. I can't wait.
Okay. All right, hold on one second, Miss Lori. Sorry, Sid will be back on. Hold on one second.
Sure.
Okay. All right. So it's me and you, so she come back on. Um, we're gonna if we could start off by we usually start from childhood and just to help the audience get an idea of what we may potentially be talking about. Can you tell us a little bit about how you grew up and things that you may have went through as a child?
Okay. As a child, honestly, I had a very loving family. I was raised by my mom. My mom was a single parent, and my grandparents were there as well. Whatever, if she needed anything, that she was always there for us. I grew up again as a single child. I later in life, and I'm sure we'll talk about. I later in life found out that I had other siblings by my dad. But other than that, I grew up as a single parent. Um, my mom grew up as a single parent, and always with my grandparents, always with my family. Loved to play. Was a tomboy at times, but I was a girly girl as well too. Um, but that's pretty much it.
Okay. So you mentioned you had a good upbringing, but I heard that your mom was a single parent.
Okay.
So where was the absence of your dad?
Okay. And yeah, it would. I mean, you're when you say it like that, then I did grow up without my dad. My mom and my dad were in a. My mom was in a abusive relationship as well, and so my dad wasn't there. He was away all the time. I would see him every now and then, but he would just come around when convenient. But it wasn't that I was in his life or he was in my life. She raised me the best that she could as a single parent, and so that's all I knew. I knew he wasn't there, so it kind of began, especially when I was younger. It was kind of like I didn't know the difference. I didn't know at that point that a father was supposed to be in the home until I started seeing the other kids that had, their fathers would come around. I'm like, okay, hey, well, where's my dad? So I started asking questions like that. And then, she would, say that, oh, he's away or he's working. And then again, it was just I was always surrounded by a loving family, the family that I had, until I started growing up, and then I started asking more questions, and I started understanding, okay, well, he's not here. I understand how the checks come in the mail for $25, and then I started realizing that there was a struggle, because I didn't see that when I was younger. It was just it was happy to me. That's why I said, it started out happy. But as I got older and I knew that he wasn't there and the checks were slim to none, then, that's when I was like, okay, this is a real issue. There's a problem here. And there is no dad in my life. So then I went through the phase of wondering why this person didn't love me. That was my look. Where was he at? Why didn't he love me?
And then you said your mom was in a relationship, so there was a male in the picture. Did he fill in as the dad role? Because I know you also mentioned your mother was going through some domestic abuse
Well, domestic abuse was my father.
with your father.
Yes, with
Okay,
my
were
father.
you
And I
there
think
to win?
Yeah, and I think it was like I was around. I was a young kid. I think like 5 or 6 when they separated, and they got a divorce.
Do you remember some of the abuse?
No, never.
No. Okay, so it didn't
And I
even
don't think I
happen.
was around. I don't. I'm sorry. I don't think I was around for it. I think I
Okay.
just, I don't think I was ever around for it.
Okay. You were that's good because I'm
Yeah.
gonna tell you, it's probably 1 out of 10, 20 on this podcast that we have folks that just said they were in a amazing, like just a loving atmosphere. So you are
Yeah,
definitely
I never experienced any of that. So that's why I said I've always said that I've had an amazing life because I never experienced that. And I think actually I think she said it was one time that they had gotten a situation and I came to her and basically told her I was going to take care of her at a like 5 or 6, and she was like, "I'm out of here." And then that's when she left. So I never got to see the abuse at all. I never saw the abuse. So I would have never known any difference unless she had to talk to me about it. And I started seeing as time got older, and I started as time went on, and I started asking, well, where is my dad, or what does this check mean when it comes in the mail? And it's a $50 check, and I have to we had to wait to payday to get, whatever we needed because this little check was coming in the mail. And then I started realizing, oh, okay, this must be from my dad because it wasn't discussed. And I definitely didn't see that from my grandparents because my grandparents, before they passed, they were married like 50 years. So I always saw an amazing relationship.
that's beautiful. That is
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. We don't see that much these days, do we?
Mm-hmm. No, not at all. Not at all. That's why it's so strange to me sometimes. I'm like, well, this is all I know. So why does it have to be so different?
Yep. So I was going to ask, with your dad not being around, did that cause issues with you as a child, just having or a relationship or trust within males?
Um, as I got older, I started realizing that actually when I went to therapy, that's when I realized that some of the issues of men that I was dating and involvement in my life, it was because of my dad not being there because I was searching. And it's funny because I always used to say, I want the love that my dad never gave me, or I wanted my dad to be in my life so bad that I would just go out just searching for people, not looking for red flags. I'm sorry, red flags or anything like that. I wanted to be loved because I just did not. It was the hardest thing as I was getting older. The 18, 19, 20 on up. Even in my 30s, like why this person couldn't love me or didn't love me. So I started searching for that in other men. Um, and then it like hit me like a ton of bricks one day because I was like, okay, everything that I'm searching for, the person that I'm looking for, whether it be a cheater or abuser or what have you, that's what my father did those things. So I got exactly what I was looking for, you know. So it definitely caused a problem as I got older because I just wanted to be loved by my dad. So I figured if he couldn't give it to me, then maybe a man could get it. Maybe that void that I was missing, maybe I could get that from somebody, a man, because I was getting the love that I needed from my mom and my grandparents and my family. I had all of that, but it was just that one piece that was missing. When I started seeing other people, or seeing kids having that little dance with their dad, like those things really affected me as I got older.
Understood. And it affects a
Mhm.
lot of people. People don't even realize
Mhm.
it. I wanted to ask, um, did you ever get a chance to you and your dad to reconcile, or for y'all to have this conversation? Why were you absent in my life?
No, I see him to this day, and it's just cordial. If I hug him, I hug him. I see him, we have a conversation, we laugh, joke, but no, it never happened. I guess I feel that, and maybe this is just me being stubborn. I guess I feel, why should I have to? Like, why do I have to ask you why you didn't love me? You know what I mean? So I I just haven't. I just haven't.
I think you should. You should question him. Ask him why. See what he got to say.
And you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. For the longest time, it was an issue with, was I even his child? And so, we had a paternity test, and it came back that I was his child because I guess he's always been told, or always felt that I wasn't his child. And that's what he's been told, maybe from other family members or what have you. So I asked him if we could do it. And so he was kind of hesitant at first, and then, he did it. But when we had the conversation about it, he said, well, how about if I just, don't do the test, and I just start loving you. And for a quick second, because I've always wanted that love so bad, I was like, you know what, I just won't do it, because he's just going to love me, he's going to give me everything that I need. And then I was like, oh my God, if something was to happen to him and he didn't do what he said he was going to do, and I never had that closure or that understanding, then I would never get it. So I said, no, we're going to do it. And so we had the test. It came back. He knew it, and he said, things will change from this point, and they haven't. So, I mean, it's just a chapter that I had to close, because there used to be a point where I could never even talk about it, because I would be so devastated and so hurt that, I could not imagine a person not loving somebody. It's just, I always felt it's just simple. Just love me, just love me. That's all I'm asking. Not asking anything from you. Just love me. But I'm like, I've done a whole bunch of crying about it, and I think it's just a chapter that I'll just close. When I see him, I'll always be cordial, but, I just, maybe I'll think about what you said.
I think Sid
In
might
a
be
little late. I'm
frozen.
not sure where we left off.
We were talking a little bit about Lori's dad and the absence of his dad, of her dad.
Okay. Now, I'm sorry, how old were you when you guys got the results of the test?
Um, 50, 50 some.
What?
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Because I was in my 50s, and I'm in my 50s right now. So it
What?
wasn't too long ago. Absolutely, it wasn't too long ago.
So
And it's
he
always,
promised to take care of you and step up in your 50s. It took that long.
yeah. hmm And my mom is the one that actually, initiated, because she got tired of hearing it. She's, because she was like, you know what, you keep asking, you keep saying you're going to do it, and you won't do it, because I was afraid. And then it was even a time where I was like, are you sure? Like, can you, if you did something and you don't remember, or whatever the situation may be, whatever it was, just please tell me, because I started feeling, because I'm an advocate against domestic violence. And so I know, and I've seen, you know, plenty of mothers that have said, oh, well, this is your father. And then God forbid something happened to their mother. And then they find out that the mother, I mean, the person that was supposed to be the dad was not the dad. So, I questioned her a couple of times about that, and she was real adamant. So she finally one day was like, you know what? I'm tired of asking. We're going to get this test done. So she's the one that initiated the test, because she said, I'm just tired of hearing it, because I know who your father is. And that's just bottom line. We're going to take care of it. So it was, yeah, I think I was, maybe, no, I think I was 50. I think I was. And that's when I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was 50. You're going to make me look now, but if it wasn't the late 49, 48, it was 50. So he, when we went to swab, he said, why don't we just not do this? And, you know, he said, I'm going to love you. And like I said, for a quick second, I was extremely happy. I was excited about, just being able to get that hug from my dad, but I was like, you know what? No, because then I don't ever want to question it again.
Sid, can you hear us?
Okay, sorry. I'm having some technical issues here, so I might be a little in and out. But I do want to ask, what how did that make you feel like in childhood? His uh, kind of apprehension about being your father. What type of things, were done or weren't done as a child that, kind of, I guess, led you to believe that he didn't believe you were his child?
I mean, it never really, it never was, no, I'll take that back. It was a discussion. It was a discussion. I would hear it. I would just hear it out that people felt that I wasn't his daughter. So with that being said, I mean, I just started, I mean, I was like, okay, he doesn't feel that, but then I would be around him and, you know, I just, I just felt like I'm just a human. And here's my thing, even if I wasn't, I think it's insane to make somebody feel that. Like I felt in certain times that I wasn't a part of, of that side of my family. I felt that, especially from some of the elders, because, I'm sure they were the ones that were, were saying what they were saying. So it wasn't like, and I wasn't around them all the time. So I really didn't hear it, only from certain people, um, that I wasn't his child, that might not be his child. So of course it devastated me. It devastated me that, even again, I think more devastation for me was, even if I wasn't his child, just as a person, as a human being, just show me love anyway. You know what I'm saying? Just show me love. It doesn't matter if I was his child or not. If I'm a friend and you love me, then show me the love that I needed. Don't throw things like that in my face, because that's just hurtful. So I was extremely hurt by that.
So the people that said this, were they your family members or his family members?
His family members.
So they would say that in front of you as a child?
No, no, they wouldn't. They wouldn't. And remember, I wasn't around them as a child. I didn't start
Okay.
hearing that until I got older. From just like cousins and stuff, they would say. They would tell me that. They wouldn't say it. They would tell me, this is how they feel. This is how people are feeling sometimes. And I was like, okay, well, what does that mean? Because again, that was odd to me, because I came from a very loving family. My family is very loving. And I mean, we love people that are not a part of our family. So um it was just strange to me, like, what does that mean? Like, I mean, what do you mean I'm not his child? My parents, they were married. What are you saying? But it was always, word on the street is, so that's why I went to my mom and I was like, listen, this is what's being said. And she's like, well, I don't even know where it's coming from. They don't want the responsibility. It's fine. But if you want to get it done, we'll make a point to get it done so it can be proven. So that's what we did. I can hear you.
Even as the being your cousins, they would tell you, I'm your cousin, but I don't feel as though you're my cousin.
No, they
Or this
never.
is what
No,
their
they,
parents were
no,
saying.
what they would say was, the word is that you're not your dad's child. They wouldn't say that they didn't feel like that, because they loved me. I will say they loved me, the cousins and things like that. They love me, but they would just say that it's been said that he's not your dad,
So
but I
what's
still love you anyway.
so what's their reaction now?
The ones that do love me, I mean, they felt that they already knew anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially my family members around my age and my sisters and things like that. You know, back in the day, elders were just different, and they just, they believe what they wanted to believe, or they put in people's head what they wanted to put in people's head. So, I mean, when they found out, it was just closed mouth at that point. But that, again, that was just a chapter that I said, okay, I'm willing to close, because I mean, it's out and it's said and it's done. So for me, there's nothing else I need to address on that.
City said. Yeah, sorry.
I can't hear.
Hold on 1 second, Lori.
Mm-hmm.
Sid trying to get in. Let me see if I can.
Okay, I'm sorry, guys. It's like it's glitching for me. Um, what I wanted to ask, were there, was it just you in question? Were there siblings also in question? Did you guys share the same father, have the same issues?
Yeah, we have the same father. No, it was just me. It was just me. It was just me. I can't speak on how they felt, but it was just me. That was pretty much in question because we weren't around that often. And I think when my mom left the situation, then that's when the issues became. Then there were questions, but um, and that's, I mean, you know what? That's their story, and that's something that they would have to share. But as far as me, I was the one that they had questioned. So I was the one that dealt with, how I was feeling about it. That's why we handled it. That's why we, got the paternity test just to make sure, so I could close that chapter. Because, like I said, it'd be a point in my life where I couldn't even speak about it. And I think, again, for me not having the upbringing of my father, it led me to the men that I was with. Now, my grandfather was amazing. He was the father that I never had, all the way up until he passed. But he just wasn't my father. You know what I'm saying? But now, do I claim him as my father? Absolutely. He did everything that a father should. But again, here was just the man that I knew was my birth father that I wanted to love, that didn't love me. And they say, that people tell me all the time, he does love you. He just loves you in a different way. But that's just not acceptable for a child, because again, even though I'm grown, I'm still that little girl at 6, 7, 8 years old that wanted to hear her dad say, "I love you," and I never got that. So, that was the hard part of it.
So, do you think your dad was that way because your mother left him?
I think my dad was like that because he didn't get the love that he needed. So I'm learning as I'm being an advocate and learning different situations, that sometimes, if you don't have the proper upbringing, then, things could be different in your life. And I get it, because it's understandable, because even when we get to the abusive part of the story, in my situation, my ex was abused. So sometimes it's learned behavior. So I'm trying to be understanding on that part.
Sid, can you hear us? Sid is having technical difficulties
Okay.
today. I'll ask you a question while she's
Sure.
trying to get in.
Mhm.
So how's your relationship with your siblings on your dad's side? And how
Love
were
them.
you when you found how old were you when you found out about them?
Well, my older sister, she told me in school one day, she came up to me and she said, "You know what? I'm your sister." And I was like, "Get out of here." I was like, "No, you're not." She's like, "Yes, I am." And like, that was like the craziest thing for me, because I was like, I do not have any sisters, because I just didn't know that I possibly could have sisters, because I just didn't. Let me see. I the love that I did have, like, we didn't speak about that. It never was a situation or a conversation that was said that, you possibly might have sisters out here. I think I do remember, again, as I was getting older, maybe like around, maybe 12. I don't have a memory of it. Like around 12, maybe. 12, 13, she told me in school, she ran down the hall one day. She's like, I'm your sister. And I'm like, no, you're not. Get out of here. And so it was a little different back then. And we would get together and play because at that point I knew that she was my sister. And so we would play and things like that. But it was just still odd to me. But now we have like an amazing relationship. I have three sisters, and one brother. And we get along like, I mean, we love each other unconditionally. Because I told them when I did find out, that, if the situation is, if I'm not, part of the family, then I understand if you, don't want to be in my life or what have you. And they were like, we don't care what it is. We're always going to love you. So they've always been real supportive.
Do y'all all look alike? Y'all favor each other?
We do. We do.
So they knew. That's my sister.
Knew. Yeah, they knew. They already knew. You know what I'm saying? But it's just different when you hear other things, because it does make you think like, well, dang it. I mean, is it possible? And I used to question my mom. She was like, look, I don't know what I'm telling you. I know who I was with. And I'm like, look, just please, because even my mom and I's relationship we're like best friends. And so it kind of set me back with her, just thinking, oh my God, if she is not telling me the truth, how am I going to react to this? What am I going to do? If she's telling me this, because I've seen it so many times, just being an advocate, and people are heartbroken, just devastated because they've been told something for so long, and then it was just a lie. So I begged her, please, whatever you do, just tell me the truth. And so she was like, you're going to find out. So even after she found out, she cried, but she was kind of a little hurt that I didn't believe her. And I said, it's not. And I told her, it wasn't about you. This was about me. I'm sorry if I caused you any pain, and I'm sorry if you didn't think I didn't believe you, but it wasn't about you. It was about me.
I agree. Mm-hmm. So have you, I'm going to ask one more little question here, and then we can move on. Has your siblings ever asked your dad why?
I don't know.
The way he is, you don't know. Okay.
No, I don't. Again, I think the little conversations that we've had, I think that he was raised differently, and might not have got the love that he might have needed. So sometimes we tend to act out. I'll say that. Sometimes we tend to act out and I get it. Like I said, I get it. And I'm trying to be more understanding to the fact that, people grow up differently. Everybody didn't grow up like me with a loving family. I mean, everybody didn't have that type of lifestyle. So, I mean, things happen. So, maybe that's why,
Yeah. And I might have asked, or Sid might have asked, is he in your other siblings' life?
He's in their life. Yeah. I mean, how can I answer that? When they see each other, they see each other. It's like that. So it's not like it's like, oh, like I'm really left out. It's just like, I think he's just like that with all of us. I think that's just his. Yeah, I think that's just his demeanor. I think maybe, and again, I can't speak for him, so I'm not going to speak for him. But I think sometimes if you don't know how to love, then you don't know how to love. So it just might. I think I was the one that was in question, but it's not like it's blatant that, oh my God, like he really loves them different than he loves me, because it's not like that. I think he loves us just the same, but it's in his way.
Understood. He got his own issues, so we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on that. So, how did what he did not being in your life cause you to make decisions as you got older?
Well, you know what? I'm going to take full responsibility for who I fell in love with. That's what I'll say. I just think I felt that I didn't have a love from a man, so I wanted to get it the best way I could. And so I started to, I started dating because I was all about school. When I was in school, I wasn't into dating. I didn't care about dating. I didn't want to be with anybody. I just wanted to get educated, and I just wanted to thrive. So relationships wasn't even my thing at the time. And so I went to college, and when I went to college, then I met a guy because again, even in school, I think I might have dated like one or two people, but it wasn't serious because I'm like, okay, I'm out of here. I'm all about making money and getting an education. So when I left and went to college, I met a guy, and I just thought he was going to be everything, but there were red flags from the beginning. But I didn't know what a red flag was. But I knew something was different. But I also knew that okay, well, we'll just figure it out. That's the way I thought.
So, what exactly were the red flags you were seeing, in retrospect, that you probably should have paid a little bit more close attention to?
He would like he. You know what? Let me say this first. I remember when I started dating, I had asked God. I said, "Oh God," I said, "Listen," I said, "I want you to send somebody that's just gonna tell me what to do." And this is exactly what I asked for. I want somebody to tell me what to do. I want him to be jealous of me when somebody looks at me. I want him to be like, "Don't you be looking at her?" I asked for these things, not knowing what I was asking for, and I got all of that. I got all of that, so. I some of the red flags. He had told me that he was from an abusive relationship, and so no, I'm sorry, not abusive relationship. That he was from abusive family, and so I was like, oh my God, I'm thinking in my mind, I got to make this better. That's a red flag. He was very controlling. He would be like, oh, why don't you put this on? Why don't you put this top on? Don't put this top on. So that was another flag. I couldn't talk to other guys. That was number three. I couldn't talk to men in his family. That was number four. But again, I'm still thinking, oh my gosh, like he's really protected over me. So that's the way I thought in my mind. But as I got out of this situation and I started learning what signs were, um, clearly I saw that in the first month we started dating.
Go ahead, Sid. Get your questions in, Bo.
I'm honestly, I could not hear anything going on before I came
Oh,
back in,
Oh,
so like I have no reference point. I'm so sorry.
no,
Um,
it's fine. So we're in Lori's adulthood. We're going into my question leading into this was asking her how did her dad not being in his life affect her with her relationships. And she said she takes accountability. So the last question you asked, we're just kind of chiming into her coming into her adolescent life.
okay.
and
Um,
seeing the red flags. I saw all the red flags, but I just didn't know what a red flag was. I just thought, okay, because he himself came from abusive situation. His family was abusive to him, mentally and physically. But I thought, okay, I'm going to make it better for him. I'm going to make him feel loved. That was always my thing. I'm going to make him feel loved no matter what, because I didn't know, even though I didn't know what abuse was all about. So my thing was, because again, I came from so much love. Well, we're just going to shower him with love. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if he's telling me, well, I think you need to wear this shirt, because again, those are red flags by somebody telling you, oh, well, I don't think you should wear that. And I'm in the way that he would say it, I'd be like, okay, well, I won't put that on. So I'd have, it's not funny, but I'd have a turtleneck on in the summertime, damn daggone near. And I'd be like, okay, he just thinks this looks so nice on me, or he doesn't want me to talk to this guy or that guy. So I wouldn't do it, again, thinking again, this is, he wants me all for himself. That was red flags.
Now, when, or was there a particular moment when your brain actually registered what was going on as abuse? What did it take for you to know finally that this something's not right?
Well, it took me some time. And this was even after the first time that he ever abused me was we were at his home and I was talking to his dad and he wasn't home yet. So he came home and he saw me talking to his dad, but he gave me this look and I was just like, okay, I don't know what that look was for, but okay. And I'm still talking to his dad because it's like the first time that I'm actually meeting him. And so he's like, well, I want to, have you come down to my room so we can talk. So I said, okay. But I could tell he was angry. He was different. And I never seen that side of anger in him. He didn't do anything at the moment, but he just like, you could tell that he didn't like me speaking to him. And I just didn't know why, because I'm a talker. I speak to everybody. I love everybody. And so when we were getting ready to go down to his area, I felt I felt what I thought was a hand on my back, but he pushed me down the steps, basically. He pushed me down the steps. And so when I came to, he ran down the steps when I was raising up. He's like, oh my God. He's like, you fell. And I was like, I didn't fall down the steps. You pushed me down the steps. And so he said, no, I didn't. Why would I do that? And I said, because I felt you, like you nudged me down these steps. And I said, why did you do that? So we went back and forth and he was like, I did not do that. Oh my God, are you okay? And I was like, well, I feel a little weak, but I'm okay. And he was like, oh, come here. Let me hug you. Let me hold you. And so I'm like, okay. So even right then, I'm mad about that. Just thinking about it. But I didn't think I didn't think anything of it. And a couple times after that, I didn't think anything of it until it really got like out of hand where I was like, okay, I can't escape this situation. That's when I was like, okay, this is something different. But again, domestic violence back then wasn't talked about.
I was asking, you want to ask another question, Sid? Okay. I want to ask, how long did you stay in that relationship?
8 years.
8 years. Mm-hmm. Did you have a kid by his ex or?
Mm-hmm.
No. Oh, wow.
I'm sorry. Ask me that question again.
I said, did you have kids by his ex? The one you were in for 8 years?
Did I have kids? What? I'm sorry.
With the ex that was abusing you for 8 years?
Yes, I did. Mm-hmm.
Oh wow. Okay.
But when my child was born, and there was a situation, and this is moving to the end. There's still stuff in the middle, but when he took, and I think I was holding my child at the time, and we were having an argument, and so he kind of took him and tossed him on the couch. Like I was standing here, and the couch was like there, so he took him out of my hands to like move him so he could get to me because he didn't want to hurt my child. And so that's the day where I said, okay, either he's going to go or I'm going to go, because, and not in a good way, go. Like somebody's going to really get hurt at this point, because now you're taking this to a whole nother level, and that will not happen. And it was crazy because I was okay with that. I was fine with that when it was just me, and nobody in my family knew. Nobody in my family knew anything about it, and he would always hit me where it really didn't show on my face. It would always be neck down, or like pushing me down, or hitting me in my arm or my chest or what have you. Never in my face. So I never told anybody that he was abusing me at all, because I know the outcome for him wouldn't be good. So I always just kept it a secret, and whenever we'd get around somebody, or especially like men, and he would give me that look, and I just knew at that point, okay, when I get home, it's going to be on, or either get in the car, because everybody thought we were the perfect couple. Everybody thought we were the perfect couple. Yeah, because they had no clue, and I never would let them know. They didn't know till after, and it was years after when they knew.
Now, was, being a mother something that you wanted? Did he make the, possibility of things getting better? Did he make that a promise? How,
no.
What was your comfort level like around the time that you had the baby? Like, were you confident that things would get better, or, did they kind of get worse as you were more vulnerable?
No, it was still not a good situation because I didn't want children. I'll just say that I didn't want children, and it was a forced situation. So I didn't want children at the time. But then when I did get pregnant, then I was like, oh my God, this little thing inside of me, he's gonna protect me at all times. Maybe he won't hurt me, being that I'm pregnant. And he really didn't. He would do more pushing or like choking when I was pregnant, but it didn't stop.
So you went through abuse your whole entire pregnancy?
Yes, and mainly, definitely a lot of crying, a lot of yeah. But like I said, never like he never like hit me in my stomach or anything like that. Just he would shove me or push me up against the wall, things like that. Make me have sex when I didn't want to have sex. Forced issue. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
I know what you've been through. Trust me.
Now, obviously in that one moment he showed that, he would rather get to you than the baby. How did that develop as, your child got older? Was he willing to be abusive in front of the child? Did he get abusive with the child eventually, once coming of age?
No.
How did that work? No.
After that, no. After, I used to pray all the time, and there was like so much more in between before I even got pregnant. But I used to pray all the time that, Lord, I don't know how you're going to get me out of this situation, but however you do it, you got to do it, and you got to do it fast, because either I'm going to hurt him or he's going to hurt me. Because at that point, when I still was like, when he had tossed him, I had figured out I got to get him back somehow. So I would pray all the time that, God, please get me out of this situation. And then this one particular day he came home and he said, listen, he said, I want to get out of this relationship. And I was like, what do you mean? Even still, even with that. Now, at that point, I didn't love him, because one thing I did know, that love is not supposed to feel like this. I'm not supposed to be terrified. I'm not supposed to be, if I go into a store, look out the door and see him standing out there. I knew that was not what love was about. So I was terrified of this man. So he came home one day and he said, listen, he said, I want to get out of this relationship. And so I remember crying my eyeballs out, because I was like, oh my God, like, how can you leave me? How could you leave me? This is a baby that you wanted. You know what I'm saying? You put me in this situation. And then literally I heard God say, this is what you asked for. Why are you questioning me? I said, okay, listen, when I walk out that door, there is no coming back. It's not going to be, you want to be with this woman, and then you think you're going to come back to me. I'm not coming back. And so he said, I don't want you back. And I said, okay. So I grabbed my child and I grabbed the diaper bag and I said, I'm out. And that was it for the moment. I didn't get back with him at that point, but I would meet him, because he would call me and he'd be like, okay, I want you to meet me at the school. I want you to meet me at the parking lot, and I want you to have sex with me. So I would do that because he still had that strong hold on me. I was terrified of him. So if he did the things that he did while we were together, I knew he would do them then. So I would meet him and have sex with him. And then just one day, like probably, I'm going to say months to a year later, I said, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. And so he said, no, yes, you are. He said, I'll be there and you're going to meet me. And I said, I'm not coming. So I was out every Sunday. I would have family dinners. And so I was at my grandparents' house. And so he said, well, I'm going to come out there. And he said, I'm going to get you out there. And I said, well, you know what? If you're coming, then come on, because I want you to come before dinner, because I want you to kill my grandfather, my grandmother, my mother, my child, and then me. I want to watch you do it. So if you're coming, then come. Stop threatening me. I'm not dealing with it anymore. Just come do it, and I'm going to be done with it. And we don't have to do this anymore. And so he kept calling. He would hang up and he'd call. And I'd be like, are you still calling? Because we're about to have dinner. Stop calling and just come. And I was terrified. I don't even know where that came from. But I said, you know what? I'm over it. I'm tired. You're not going to have this control over me anymore. And so he kept calling for a little while. And I was like, okay, if he calls. And I literally thought in my head, I said, if he comes out here, if he gets one or two of them, then I'll be able to still have time to call the cops. And, thank God he never came. But that's just, like at that point I was just, I'm not doing this anymore. You're not going to keep doing this to me. And so he never came. So we didn't have any more contact after that.
So do you think calling his bluff and like, come on, he knew better?
Yeah, because if I had picked up a lamp and hit him the first time, I don't think it would have ever happened ever again. But I think he just knew that he had the control of me. But I would never, as an advocate, I would never tell anybody to do what I did, because, there's some people that are crazier than him that would actually do what you just asked them to do. So I would never recommend anybody do what I did, But at that point in my life, I didn't care if I lived or died. I was just over it. And I didn't care what happened or what he did. I just didn't want to do that anymore. I didn't want to meet you anymore. I felt you were disgusting. Like, who does that? You just choked me. So why do you want to meet me and have sex? You know what I'm saying? Even when we were in the relationship, and if I would fall asleep, and if I fell asleep in the midst of a movie, he would wake me up and I'd get a beating for going to sleep, and then we would have sex, So I was like, I'm not doing this any longer. So it was insane.
Now, when you say that was kind of like you guys' last kind of communication, you mean in general, or did you speak regarding your child, or just in general, how were you able to kind of shake free of that after that point?
Even though he wasn't in my life, he would every now and then after that, he would call, because he got married, and he would call, and he would say that he was going to pick up his child, but he would just never come. Or every now and then he might come, but I think he did it more to get back at me. I guess he figured, okay, I'm just not going to come. My child would sit and wait for him, and he just wouldn't come. So, but what I would do, I'd be like, I would always make excuses for him. Oh, well, your dad's working, he still loves you. Or at Christmas time, then here's daddy's Christmas toys outside of the step. I would do things like that. Just to make it seem like he was still in his life, which I wish I never did, because, that can cause friction. It causes, it got to a point where when my child got older that, it was like, okay, you're lying. That's all you do is lie. And I was in protection mode. So I get where he's coming from, but I was just trying to protect him from not feeling the hurt that, your daddy's not here. He's not loving you. I just couldn't bring myself to do that. So, he would reach out to him, and then my son finally got his own phone, and I got him a phone, and so they would speak, and I didn't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with you being in your child's life.
About that.
I can't hear you.
Oh, you put yourself back on mute.
Oh, sorry. It's like, why people are like, why you want them in your child's life? It's like, because it is their parent, right?
Mm-hmm.
It takes a strong person to do that. I want
whatever. What that was our situation, not their situation.
Exactly. I want to ask, because a lot of people ask this question to a lot of us that have been through domestic abuse. Why did you stay?
I was afraid for my life. There was no love there. I was afraid. And
fear.
It was fear, all fear. If a person is going to hold a gun to your head and tell you they're going to kill you, what makes you think when I walk away, he's not going to kill me? So that's the only thing that we have in our head, is to think if this person is saying that, they're going to do it. Like, there is no, oh my God, he's just playing. There was none of that. If he's going to say it, then he's going to mean it. So And that's the power of control and all of that. If they're going to tell you that, then I mean, we're not going to believe. I mean, we're going to believe it. We're going to believe it. There's been so many people that have acted out, what they said they were going to do. So we're terrified. So I stayed as long as I could until I could get away. And that was just a excuse me, an act of an act of God, because I don't know where I would have been at this point, because I don't know if I would have ever left. I don't know. I would have stayed solely out of fear until he, like he did, decided to leave.
So what was pretty much, how did life elevate after making that decision? Usually that's how it goes. You start to receive more blessings, being as though you are able to receive them at that point. So what positive happened after you shook that out your life, made boundary setting a priority? What happened to you positive after that?
I think I mean, and this was years after. For years, I just went on with life. I just tucked it away. Again, nobody knowing what was going on in my life or what had happened in my life. And everybody was like so upset when we didn't get married, because everybody was like, oh my God, like, you all were supposed to be married. And I'm like, yeah. I said, but things just don't work out. They didn't understand, but I was like, okay, whatever you all think, because they were like, they used to think all the time he was such a good man. So I'm like, okay, whatever. But even after, I'm going to say, after I got out of that situation, I met another fella, and we were together for 3 years. That was, a whole bunch of cheating. Again, I'm still looking for love. I just wanted to be loved by a man. And it was, it wasn't a good relationship. No abuse, but just, and you know what? I'm not going to say that. Let me just say this. Again, oftentimes we just don't listen. And I'm going to speak for myself. As women, sometimes we just don't listen, because the gentleman that I was with, he said, well, listen, I just want to be friends. But even though we played the role of moving in together and everything, every time he cheated on me, it was, I told you I just wanted to be friends. Still me not listening, And so after 3 years, I was like, okay, I'm not doing this anymore, and I'm not going to date, period. So I asked God, do me a favor. I know you're listening. Take the taste of all of this out of my mouth. I don't want a relationship. I just want to work on me. So I'm going to say for about, I'll say about almost 10 years. I literally focused on me. I didn't want to be with anybody. I didn't want to, I didn't want any men around. I just wanted to focus strictly on me. So one day I just told the family, I said, listen, I want to start this movement. And they were like, oh, that's really nice. And so they thought it was nice, but I was like, no, there's a story behind it. So I told my whole entire family, and the reason why I wanted to do it is because even though, again, I was that perfect person that everybody thought, oh my God, she's such an amazing person. I was hurting inside. I was torn. I was broken. I was still fearful. Every time I heard a loud noise, I would jump. Every time I hear a loud car, I would get fearful, and I was like, I'm tired of living like this. So I said, I want to start this movement. And I remember telling my child, I was like, listen, there's going to be some things that I'm going to say, and I want you to be okay with it. So again, I had to sit them down and tell them this was what was going on in my life. And they were devastated. They were just like, my whole family was like, why didn't you tell me? We would have took care of this. And I was like, that's not what I wanted. I just wanted to be free. I wanted to be out of it. I didn't want anybody hurt. I just want, because again, he had came from an abusive situation. So, I mean, that's hurtful enough when you grow up and when you look at things like that. I mean, he didn't ask for that either. So the same way I was abused, he was abused. Not saying that taking the excuse away from that situation, but at the end of the day, it happened to him as well. So I just wanted to go ahead and I just wanted to live my life, and I wanted to make a difference in other people's life, because I just felt that there was other people like me. So, that needed to see that this is real, because again, domestic violence is not a situation that people talk about every day. So I wanted to start a movement, and I said, I'm going to do it on Friday. And they was like, well, you haven't even put any thought into it. And I said, I don't need to. I'm just going to put me out there. So that's what I would do. I would go on social media, and I would post pictures of myself, and I would take photographs of myself, and I'm like, I love me today. And I know people thought in the beginning, like, what is this girl doing? Because I didn't mention the movement. I just started posting things about loving yourself, and guess what, y'all, I love me. And they'd be like, okay, that's cool. They didn't really know what was going on. And then it was a Friday that I said, okay, I'm going to bring up the beautiful movement, and I'm going to tell my story. And that's when I started my story. And that's when I started to become happy, because for years after that, even though he was gone, mentally, he still had the control on me.
Sorry, y'all. My dog, if y'all don't know, my dog be barking in the background. He had it again. He always do. It always happens.
He said he want to talk too.
He want to talk too. So we're at time. And to close out, I want to ask to close out after me. What would you tell someone that's in a domestic situation that is living in fear like you?
Pray.
Like you were. Okay. You're not living it now, like you were living.
Pray, and when you're ready, to get the help that you need, because there is help out here. I have the beautiful movement, and it's empowering women of all walks of life to love their inner beauty. I'm here if you need me, but get the assistance and the help that you need if you need it. I will never, you come talk to me on anything. I will never tell you the situation, because we can't tell people to leave situations, because we don't know what their situation is, even though it is abuse. Some women tend to stay anywhere from 5 to 10 times, or they go back 5 or 10 times before they actually leave. So I just really say, be safe, be safe. And when you're ready to leave, then you leave your situation when you're ready.
Absolutely. So thank you again for being here with us this evening. As we do with all of our guests, we like to give you a chance to participate in shameless plug. So you see all of your information scrolling across the bottom here. Let our viewers know how they can contact you if any part of your story resonated with them today. If there is anything that you want to draw traffic to, that generates revenue for you. Anything you have for sale, any projects or anything that you advocate for, you have the floor.
Okay, I have a purse drive that I do every year in October. Last year I collected over 200 slightly used purses, and I filled them with shampoos, all kinds of toiletries, perfumes, everything that women need that are in shelters, and I took those to different shelters. So I do that every year. So I'll be mentioning that pretty soon. I also, on my website, the www.thebeautifulmovement.com, you can go on there and make donations. And what I do is when a victim reaches out to me and they're in a situation, if shelters are full, I'll get them a hotel room privately and secure them a space to stay, safe place for them to stay, an anonymous name. So I always need assistance with that, for hotel fees. And if some women leave with no clothes or different things like that, then I provide them clothing, foods, gift cards, things like that. So I always need donations for that. So again, you can reach that at thebeautifulmovement.com, or you can email me at yesiambeautiful2. And that's yesiambeautiful2@gmail.com.
You on mute.
I love that mute, don't I?
I know.
Lori, we want to thank you for tuning into Unfiltered Unspoken podcast, where we're going to continue to share life experiences. And I hope your testimony resonates with someone that is going through domestic violence, that is trying to get out of domestic violence, because as many of us survivors know, on one of them, we could be held. And I was in my situation because of fear as well. So it people don't understand. It's very, very common. And that's why a lot of people don't leave. So yeah, definitely. Thank you so
I thank
much.
you guys so much for the platform, and I'm glad you're safe as well. So again, thank you so much for the platform, and thank me allowing me to come back. And I look forward to doing other things with you, ladies.
Amen. And please, see, we're gonna keep sharing life experiences, ain't we?
That's right.
That's right. So make sure you like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube Unfiltered Unspoken podcast. You'll see the U just like you see in the background. Go like, go follow us on TikTok, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, and we also have a private group on Facebook, Unfiltered Unspoken podcast. So come on in. We have some amazing, amazing episodes, and we just added another amazing one from Lori that I hope and pray, which we know it is, she resonates and touches someone. This is actually a resource base to help someone that's going through a similar situation. So we want to thank you. Tune in each and every Monday at 8 p.m. and we're going to share it. God bless.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Stay here, Lori.